All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to the elect, those men and women who fear and believe in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Shai, and are patiently waiting for salvation. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson, and this is going to the comment board. A comment that was left on a video, I believe that I did last week, entitled "A Visual Timeline of Yahweh Shai Arrest, Crucifixion, Death, and Burial." Right, and this had came off the back. I forget who did a video. I think it might have been Apostle Gabar was speaking about Yahweh Shai's arrest, crucifixion, death, and burial, because somebody was having a back and forth. I forget. It was a Christian, I believe, and some guy from an Israelite group were having a back and forth, and he was mixing the days up of Yahweh Shai's arrest, crucifixion, death, and his burial, right? And so the brother, his name is Kalab, but I believe his name is Kalab. His page is GMS Truth Be Told 144. And I believe he may be a part of the Trinidad camp. I'm not sure, but it's what it looked like here on his page. Salakia. It looks like this on his I'm trying to scroll up. Salakia. Yeah, I believe like the brother is with the elder brothers out there in Trinidad and Tobago. But he had asked the question, and so I'm gonna try to answer to the best of my ability. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So his question was, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash Barakatah. Quick question, Akia. Is it that ChatGTP is saying Yahweh Shai was arrested on the 14th day? How could that be if he kept the Passover, which is on the 15th day? And I think he got this wrong. I know he got this wrong. And we'll get in a second. He said, which is on the 15th day, as we know the day begins at evening. Wouldn't it be more accurate to say he was arrested on the 15th day? No. After having the Passover meal? No. They also claim the disciple prepared on the 13th day. How could that be? What did they do on the 14th day then? Wouldn't they prepare on the daytime of the 14th day for when the evening comes, which is the 15th day? Asking for some clarity. Shalom. Now, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if this brother is a part of the Trinidad camp. I'm not sure if this is the brother right here or not, but yeah, brother, you're wrong right here. And we're gonna give you some clarity on this. Okay, brother? So the day for us starts at the evening, right? The day, any new day starts for us at the evening. From evening to evening, right? That's a 24-hour period. In this world that we live in today, they gauge a 24-hour period from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. I believe, yeah, 12 a.m. and 12 a.m. here in a Western society. But that's not how we gauge time in the ancient world, especially according to our customs. The day starts in the evening. And to prove that, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 3. And the power said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And the powers saw the light, that it was good. And the powers divided the light from the darkness. And the powers called the light day. And the darkness he called night. Right? In the evening and the morning were the first day. Right? So the evening and the morning was the first day. Right? Which means is when the sun went down, that's when the day starts for us. Right, so I believe we're under the Sabbath. We're in the Sabbath right now. The Sabbath ends when the sun goes down tonight here in Hawaii. Right, I think it's from Tuesday to Wednesday. I believe it's from Tuesday to Wednesday. If I'm mistaken, please correct me, Salakia. But I believe it's from Tuesday to Wednesday. Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening is one day. That's a 24-hour period. Okay, when the sun goes down. So going back to this brother's question. Let's break it down. Quick question, Akia. Is it that ChatGTP is saying Yahweh Shai was arrested on the 14th day? How could that be if he kept the Passover which is on the 15th day. That's not true, my brother. This is the book of Exodus. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto, and Yahweh Bashan Shai spake unto Moses, saying, unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Let me skip down. Hold on, brother. Right. Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Ye shall eat it in the haste. It is the Lord's Passover. Hold on. Salaki. Let me start over. Hold on. It says on the 10th month. On this month shall it be the beginning of month. So the Passover is the first of our year, right? Right, to us, right? It says on the 10th day you get the lamb together, the lamb of 1 year unblemished, right? I just want to look something up. Just bear with me, brother. Come, brother, and it says the laws of religious festivals. So these are the laws of our festivals that we're supposed to keep. All right. This is the Leviticus 23:1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Yahweh Shai spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahweh Bashan Shai, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and a holy convocation, which we're currently in the Sabbath right now, right? Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh Bashan Shai in all your dwellings. These are verse 4. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. Listen to this, brother. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover, right? So the brother had said right here, So the brother had said right here, quick question, Akia. Is it that ChatGPT is saying Yahweh Shai was arrested on the 14th day? How could that be if he kept the Passover, which is on the 15th day? The Passover is not on the 15th day, brother. The Passover is on the 14th day. Okay? And it says it right here. Leviticus 23:5. Right? And on the 15th day of the month of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So the Feast of Unleavened Bread is the following day. Right? So from the 14th starts at evening, right? Which I think they said, something I read on here said twilight, right? But here's a better example right here, right? It says, understanding the 14th day Hebrew, the day start. Hebrew days begin at sundown. That's the evening. Not at midnight like in a modern Western calendar. So the 14th day of Nisan, Abib, begins at sunset on the 13th day and ends at sunset on the 14th day. So when the sun is going down that 13th day, that's a whole new evening, because the 13th day started the day before at evening when the sun went down. So the 13th day ends when the sun goes down, right? The sun goes down at any particular time in your area. I believe in my area right now, it goes at 7 o'clock in the PM. That's when the new day starts for us. Okay? It don't start like on Western time. So let me go back to this brother's question. He said, quick question, Akia, is it that ChatGPT is saying that Yahweh Shai was arrested on the 14th day? How could that be if he kept the Passover, which is on the 15th day? We just corrected that, brother. The Passover is on the 14th day. When the sun goes down on the 13th, when the sun is going down, that's a brand new day. That's the 14th day. So he said, how could that be if he kept the Passover, which on a 15th day? As we know, a day begins at evening. No, the 15th day begins at evening the following evening. So the 14th day at sunset starts. right? So it's the 13th. The daytime is still the 13th. That's the ending of our day, right? That's the second half of our day, right? Then the first half of the following day is when the sun set, right? On the 13th day, when the sun sets at evening, that's the beginning of a new day. That's the 14th day. Okay, brother? And it says, if he kept the Passover, which is on the 15th day, as we know, a day begins at evening. He didn't keep the Passover on the 15th day. All right. Wouldn't it be more accurate to say he was arrested on the 15th day? No, that would be wrong. He was arrested the evening. He was arrested during the evening of the 14th, right? When the days started, when the sun went down, later that evening, he was arrested. Later into that evening, he was arrested. Okay. How could, so he says, wouldn't it be more accurate to say that he was arrested on the 15th day? No, it would be wrong to say that, right? And I want to prove it. After having the Passover meal, he said they also claimed the disciples prepared on the 13th day, which they did. How could that be? What did they do on the 14th day? They held the Passover. Because it started when the sun went down on the 13th day. When the sun went down, that's when a new day began. Wouldn't they prepare on the daytime of the 14th? No, they wouldn't, because that's the second half of the day of the 14th. For when the evening comes, which is the 15th day, asking for some clarity. Well, we're going to give you some clarity, brother. Right? So let's read this again. This is from ChatGPT. I said, can you explain your Yahushua timeline from the Passover until his crucifixion, as well as the start of the 14th day? And it says right here, understanding the 14th day start. Hebrew days begin at sundown, not midnight like in modern Western calendar. So the 14th day of Nisan begins at sunset on the 13th day. So during the daytime, before the sun went down, the apostles were getting things together. And let's prove that in the scriptures, right? This is St. Matthew chapter 14, verse 12. St. Matthew 14 and 12. St. Matthew chapter 14, verse 12. And it is Salakia, brother. This is not it. Come on, man. St. Matthew 26 and 17. St. Matthew 26 and 17. St. Matthew 26 and 17. It says, now the day now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahushua, saying unto him, where wilt thou we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? And it says, and he said, go into the city to such a man and say unto him, the master saith, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. This is during the daytime of the 13th, right? Of the 13th day. Okay. And the disciples did as Yahushua appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Right. So going back to here again, our day starts at nighttime. The first half of our day is when the sun is set. The second half of our day is when the sun rises and it's up until the evening. That's the second half of our day. That's the second 12 hours of our day. Okay. So it says, again, Hebrew days begin at sundown evening, not at midnight like in the modern day. So that's what they were doing during the daytime in the 13th. They were getting things together, right? So the 14th day of Nisan, Abib, begins at sunset on the 13th day and ends at sunset on the 14th day. For example, Nisan 13 ends sunset, Nisan 14 begins. Nisan 14 ends at sunset, Nisan 15, the first day of unleavened bread begins. You see? So a timeline from Passover to crucifixion. In the beginning of the 14th in the evening, that's when the sun went down, Yahushua eats the Passover meal with his disciples. Time, evening, Nisan 14, just after sunset. verses Matthew 26 and 17 through 30, which we were just in Matthew 26, and we just read 17, right? We just read that. And it says, Mark 14, 12 to 26, Luke 22, 7 and 20, and St. John 13. Yahushua sends Peter and John to prepare the Passover. He eats the meal with the 12 disciples in the upper room in Jerusalem. He washes their feet, foretells his betrayal by Judas, and institutes what we now call the Lord's Supper. Judas leaves and betrays him, right? It says some scholars argue whether this was traditional Passover meal or a pre-Passover meal. It was a traditional Passover meal, okay? Anyway, it says the nighttime, night garden of Gethsemane events. Yahushua prays and is arrested. This is later on in the nighttime, right? The evening starts. The 14th day started when the sun went down. On the 13th day, the sun went down. The evening, that's Passover. That's the 14th day. Later on that night, Yahushua was arrested. After the meal, Yahushua goes to the Mount of Olives and into the Garden of Gethsemane. He prays intensely, sweating drops of blood. Judas arrives with Roman soldiers in a temple guard. Yahushua is betrayed, arrested that night. Still Nisan 14, still the 14th day, right? So early morning trials begin, and this is early mornings on a 14th day, right? This is the second half now. Early morning on the second half of Nisan 14, or night, or the night of the day of the 14th, right? Sorry if I'm like kind of stuttering. I'm trying to get through this and I get a little excited. So, but this is during the daytime, right? Which in America, they teach us that the daytime is a whole new day. Really, it starts at 12 a.m. And then when the sun comes up, that's when people believe the day starts. But in reality, that's the end. You're in the second half of the day, right? So it says, evening event. Yahushua faces illegal trials by Jewish authorities, taken to Ananias, then Caiaphas, the high priest. Peter denies him 3 times before dawn, right? False witnesses accuse him. Sanhedrin condemns him for blasphemy, right? So it says early morning, Romans trial and sentencing. All this happened. It says by the morning, still Nisan, the 14th, he is brought before Pilate, right? Pilate sends him to Herod Antipas, who mocks him, right? Who under the crowd pressure condemns him to death. The crucifixion around the 3rd hour, which is 9 a.m. on the 14th day, right? 9 in the morning. That's the second half of our day, right? 9 in the morning on the 14th day. Yahushua is crucified at the 3rd hour, which is 9 in the morning. Roman soldiers cast lots for his garments. Darkness from the 6th hour to the 9th hour, from noon to 3 p.m. We still in the daytime. We were still in the daytime, and we still at the second half of the 14th day. Okay. Darkness covers the land from noon to 3 p.m. At the 9th hour, 3 p.m., Yahushua dies crying, "It is finished." This is the same time the Passover lambs were being slain in the temple. Yahushua dies as a true lamb of the Most High, and on the 14th day of Nisan, fulfilling prophecy exactly. Burial before sunset. So, because when sunset comes, that's the day of the 15th starts, right? Yahushua is buried before the Sabbath begins, right? Joseph of Arimathea asks for the body. They bury Yahushua before sunset because the next day, the 15th, is a high Sabbath, the first day of unleavened bread. You see? So this should have answered that question, right? This should have answered this brother's question with a little bit more clarity. Okay? The Passover starts on the 14th day at evening, right? When the sun goes down, it's the second half of the 13th day is daylight. But when the sun goes down, the 14th day begins. That's the beginning of the Passover. That's why even we were taught, as we were taught from the apostles and the bishop elders, how to hold Passover. Passover starts as soon as the sun goes down on the 14th day of the new of the first month, right? Of our first month. Okay, that's how Passover don't start at 12 o'clock in the evening, right? It don't do that. That's no, we well into the Passover by that point. You see? So again, we just answered the quick question to Akia. He said, Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shai, Bashon Kakadash, Barakatah. Quick question, Akia. Is it that the ChatGPT is saying Yahweh Shai was arrested on the 14th day? The scriptures say he was arrested on the 14th day, not just ChatGPT, right? How could that be if he kept the Passover, which is on the 15th? The Passover is not on the 15th, brother. It's on the 14th day, right? He was arrested later that evening, or later that night, because the evening started when the sun went down. That was the beginning of the 14th day. He was arrested later on that evening, right? And on the 15th, he says, if he kept the Passover on the 15th day, he didn't keep the Passover on the 15th day. He kept it on the 14th day. As we know, the day begins at evening, which is correct. The day does begin at evening. Wouldn't it be more accurate to say he was arrested on the 15th day after having the Passover meal? No, that would be incorrect. He was arrested on the 14th, on a day of the 14th, which began at evening when the sun went down on the 13th day, at the end of the 13th day, right? So they also claim the disciples prepared on the 13th day. Well, the scriptures explain that they prepared on the 13th day, right? Remember, that was the second half of the day of the 13th started the evening prior, right? When the sun went down the evening prior. The second half of the day was the daytime, right? Was the daytime of the 13th. And they were preparing the meal just like we do, right? During the day of on the 13th day of the first month, we're preparing, during the daytime, we're preparing the Passover. Because as soon as the sun goes down, we're holding the Passover. How could that be? What did they do on the 14th day then? They held the Passover, brother, on the 14th day. Wouldn't they prepare on the daytime of the 14th day? No, because that would be the second half of the 14th day. For a day for when the evening comes, which is the 15th day. No, that wouldn't be Passover, brother. Asking for some clarity. So I hope you got some clarity, brother. We explained it. The day starts when the evening comes, when the sun sets on a particular day, right? So the 13th day started what you would call the 12th day. When the sun went down, that's when the 13th day started, when it was evening time. Then that was the first half of the day is the evening, the nighttime. And then the second half of the day is when the sun rises, right? That's the second half of our day. And then as soon as the sun sets, that's a whole new day for us. A new day starts. So Yahushua held the Passover on the 14th day. He was arrested early in the 14th day, or later that 14th day, which was the 14th day starts at evening. Okay? Starts at evening. So then when the sun rose the next which was morning, when the sun rose in the morning, Yahushua was already up and going to go see those different men as he was on his way to get crucified. He was crucified and he died. He gave up the spirit at 9. He gave up the spirit at wait a second. He gave up the spirit at He gave up the spirit. He was arrested. His trial begins. It says his crucifixion was around the 3rd hour, which was 9 a.m. Right? His crucifixion started at 9 a.m. Yahushua crucified the 3rd hour at 9 a.m. Right? Darkness fell from the 6th hour to the 9th hour, which is 12 noon to 3 p.m. Right? Still on the 14th day. Right? This is the second half of the 14th day. At the 9th hour, 3 p.m., Yahushua dies and cries, "It is finished." So Yahushua was up on that cross from 9 in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. All right? After being beat, bruised, and spat upon and disrespected, right? So that's how that works, brother. I hope you got some edification. Again, this is going to this brother name is Kalab. I believe his name is Kalab. I went to his live shows right here, and it said his name is Kalab.
And he went outside
and it said his name is Kalab. So I hope you got an understanding of this, brother, and I hope that I was able to edify you. With that, I'm going to say shalom and on to the next.